Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Staying Sweet, the podcast. I hope you all are very well. It's been a hot minute actually since I've sat down to record these. I'll let you in on a little secret. I actually bulk record these and it's been a bit of time since my last episode. So we're kind of working through the motions still of getting this podcast, 10/10 up to scratch. But a lot has changed in the last few weeks since I recorded. I feel like we have so much to catch up on. Firstly, how are you? How is everyone doing this week? And how are you feeling? If you're listening to this episode, you probably have a rough idea as to what I'm going to be talking about today, because it's going to be front and center in the title. And to be honest, I can't really believe I'm saying it, but I feel like we just have to say it straight away. I'm running the London Marathon next year for Teenage Cancer Trust, and today's episode really, I wanted to kind of focus on talking about it because I think it's a really exciting thing to be working on, and I know it's going to be taking up a lot of my time from now until next April, and it's definitely going to be like a big goal and a big focus for the next year. So I really wanted to do an episode on this. Firstly, in case there's anyone listening that is running the London Marathon next year, please drop me a DM or a message or an email, however best you wish to do so. I would honestly love to hear from you if you are running in the marathon next year. This is the first time I've ever entered anything like this before. Did it on a bit of a whim. It was a bit strange actually, and we'll kind of dive into kind of how it all came about. But today's episode is going to be a real focus on what the London Marathon is in terms of a mindset shift, and also how you can kind of adopt the London Marathon mindset in your life and in your business or your career or your education, and how sometimes those bigger jumps are what you need to really step into that next phase and next chapter in your life. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, and I hope it's going to be motivational, inspirational. I would actually love to get someone on the podcast that has run the London Marathon and like how it's changed them. So if you have run the marathon before, please do get in contact over on Instagram. It's just at Staying Sweet Podcast on Instagram, or you can DM me directly at alicelucybradley. I would absolutely love to hear from you. I don't know whether anyone listening to this is familiar with some of my other content, but actually back in 2020 I decided to do Couch to 5k, and I documented it on my YouTube channel. Now my YouTube channel is fairly small. It's actually still on the channel that you might be watching this video. If you're consuming the podcast on YouTube, you can kind of scroll through my videos and find it. I did Couch to 5k in lockdown 2020, and again, totally did it on a whim because I wanted the challenge. Back in 2020, it felt like such a big challenge and such a big thing to get to, and a big goal in my mind. And I thought, do you know what? I have so much time on my hands. Why don't I just see what could happen if I just give it a go? So yeah, like back then it was a very big goal to even be able to run 5k. I could never do it. I was not sporty at school. Getting into the gym even was a big thing for me because I was never sporty. And it's quite funny how when you're growing up and you're kind of in the education system, you kind of get pigeonholed a little bit. And I definitely felt like I was never sporty. I was never really like brainy with maths and not very mathematical. And I kind of put myself in these boxes because I thought that's all I would ever be. And I know we've spoken on the podcast previously about identity capital and like raising your identity capital, trying new things out because you don't know where it could lead you. I do think in just letting go of all those kind of mental blocks and the walls that I'd put up around myself, in just going, I'll give it a try, I've been able to achieve certain things. And Couch to 5k was a really great start. So if you're somebody listening today thinking I could never run a marathon, please do not rule it out, because I know I've not done it yet, but I know it's something that I'm going to achieve because I'm going to put in the work and I'm going to be motivated and I'm passionate about it. And I think sometimes you have to start somewhere, and that somewhere could be the smallest thing to somebody else. Like if somebody had told me back when I was doing Couch to 5k in 2020, you're going to enter a marathon in 3 years, I would have laughed in their face. But here I am, and I say it with such conviction and such passion because I know things can change, and it's kind of inspired and is driving this podcast episode today. So when is the marathon? It's next year. It's next April. So it's on Sunday, the 21st of April, 2024. And I entered the marathon on marathon day this year, just gone. And it's quite funny because I do this thing on Snapchat when I'm like manifesting. It's like a really weird thing that I've just recently adopted in the last 2 years, where if I'm manifesting something, I will record a video of me talking about something, or I'll be sharing a moment in time, and I will save that video down with text written on it. And actually that day I'd entered the London Marathon, and then I'd gone to the gym, and I was on the treadmill literally doing a 12:3:30, so like a 12 incline walk for 30 minutes. Like that was hard for me. And I had written over this video of me walking, I'm going to run the London Marathon 2024. And it's so weird because I was watching a lot of TikToks this year, very motivated, very like emotional about the fact that people were completing the marathon in my sort of age demographic, you know, young women. And I was so inspired, and I just had this weird like knowing that I was going to be doing it. So in turn, I don't know, I just felt this like weird sense of knowing. And I'm so glad I did that Snapchat and saved that Snapchat down, because I'd written, I'm going to run the marathon in 2024. And looking back at like all the things, I realized like, wow, I was really in the framework of receiving mode, and like, okay, this is the next step for me. And I think if you're going to be someone that's going to try something new, kind of being open-minded is really the key to even letting that chapter come into your life. Because I think if you come with some resistance and with that belief, maybe it's not even a belief that you have, but somebody has kind of instilled in you that you're not good at a certain thing, or you'll never amount to this or that. I always hear these success stories and these podcasters with their guests, you know, talking, and the multi-millionaire or the business owner, they had this childhood or they had this experience at school where somebody didn't believe in them. And that's where you really have to show up for yourself, and you have to be like, okay, well, I'm going to rewrite that. I'm going to rewrite that outcome, because that's not how I see this vision for myself. And I think that's really what the London Marathon is for me. It's rewriting, it's a mental belief. It's rewriting this whole mental belief that if I really put my mind to something, I can achieve it and I will do it. So yeah, I'm currently working with a coach who I'm really excited about, actually. And she's been very kind in gifting me the first like 8 weeks just to kind of see how I go. She's called Victoria. I will link her in the show notes and in the YouTube description if you're watching on YouTube. And we've been working at building my strength, stamina, looking at kind of my well-being and my wellness. I was already quite an active person, but just integrating the running schedule, because it is very demanding. And again, one of the things that I was kind of umming and ahhing about with the London Marathon is its dedication. And it's going to mean for however many months, I think it's 9 months, I'm going to have to limit my alcohol intake, go on runs when it's raining, you potentially not be able to attend certain events or go and see friends at certain times, because I'll have to dedicate that time to running. And although it feels like, oh, that's so frustrating, or something amazing might come up in those 9 months, guys, and I might be like, oh, what the hell? I've got to do this 15-20k run instead. Like, I have to see the bigger picture. And it's quite funny that it's 9 months, because in my mind I'm seeing the London Marathon a bit like a baby. Like, it's just 9 months of your life. Like, if you can dedicate your time and show up for yourself and be passionate and consistent for those 9 months, the birth of something at the end of it will be the most momentous occasion. And just watching people's wins and like watching people just even complete the London Marathon, it is so inspiring. And it's just made me realize, like, wow, I could put this into anything in my life. If I dedicated 9 months, if I really put my mind to something, I could achieve it. So another thing that's really been helping me through all of this is I've been doing the magic, which, again, very manifesty, very spiritual, but the magic is a 30-day kind of manifestation mindset switch from Rhonda Byrne, and it's the kind of, I think it's maybe the second or third book after The Secret. So everybody kind of knows The Secret, but if you're not familiar with it, it's a law of attraction book. It's incredible. I actually recommend you get it on Audible, because Rhonda Byrne, again, is so passionate about what she does. It's not for everyone, but I love her passion, and I also love that she has a very strong Australian accent. So she's very like enticing with that, and I love to hear her voice, and she's amazing. So I have just been doing the magic, doing like daily gratitudes, 10 gratitudes a day, and it's honestly transformed my outlook, and it's made me realize that there's so much to be grateful for. There's so much to kind of focus on, and this is just going to be, in my mind, 9 months of wellness and 9 months of like spiritual growth. And that's how I'm going to see it, because ultimately, yes, it's physical, and yes, I'm going to have to put my body through a lot physically, but mentally it's going to be, I think, more challenging. And in the sort of, I'm so glad I've got enough time to really think and focus on how I'm going to show up for myself mentally, because I know it's going to be challenging without even thinking about the runs and like what I need to be wearing, what trainers I need to be wearing, and you know, what gels I'm going to eat, and like when I'm going to get my water intake during the run. Like all these things are quite mathematical and quite performance based, but actually the mental side of things, like how am I going to talk to myself when I'm running for 26.2 miles? Like how am I going to treat myself and show up in that way? So another thing really for me that I was kind of thinking about, and I guess I'm going to be honest about it, because I've had a lot of experiences where the minute you share something, you can be met with a lot of negativity. And don't get me wrong, there are some people that I've told that I'm running the London Marathon who have been incredible for the most part, absolutely incredible, so supportive, so, you know, passionate about me giving it a go, like you're gonna smash it, and that's lovely. Like I really am so grateful for that. But you know, with everything, you're gonna meet people that are negative or kind of incite doubt into you or instill doubt into you, and as easy as it is for me to say, oh, just ignore them, that still is going to niggle at you. And that could be for any type of like skill or passion or project you decide to undertake. You know, if you decide to launch a business, the little niggles of people saying, oh, well, that's not really going to succeed, or why have you decided to set up and launch and open a shop in this current climate? Like people have a natural negative, like a negative part of their brain that they don't even mean to do it. They just kind of outwardly come out with it, and it's like, oops, foot in mouth, too late. They've said what they've said, and yes, it can lower your vibration. And typically when I do anything and I have any projects, I don't really like to tell people what I'm doing, because you can actually incite that kind of negativity into what you're doing, and it can make you feel like shit. So typically I don't like to share things, but with the London Marathon I have to tell everyone, because I have to raise £2,000. So I just had to kind of bite the bullet with that and announce it straight away, because it's not about me. Yes, the race is about me technically, but I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for Teenage Cancer Trust. I'm trying to raise money for a charity. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to be as open and honest as possible. And I thought, you know what, let's go whole hog. If I have to tell everyone to believe in me and potentially donate to me, I'm going to show them my journey, because maybe this could be the chance for me to kind of see the good in people, which again, that sounds really like awful to say it like that, but when you've been bitten so many times, it could be like, oh, I don't really want to tell anyone until I've launched, but actually that can do you detriment. So really kind of balancing out, okay, if I tell people, there's obviously going to be an influx of nice people as well. And actually I'm so bloody glad that I have told people what I'm doing, because I've had kind messages, I've had people offering to write me running plans, I've had friends reach out, or people that I went to school with that are running or in a running club and have said, come along and join our running club. And if I'd kept that all to myself and kind of thought, well, I might as well just try and do it myself, that's my ego talking, and that's like me kind of wrapping myself in cotton wool and protecting myself from potential negativity, when actually I could be opening doors, or I could meet someone who's going to change my life. I could meet my new friends. I could meet my next partner. Like you literally do not know what doors you are opening when you give something new a go. And it's incredible, like how much my life has changed in the last few weeks since announcing that I'm running it. And I know that sounds like too good to be true, but I promise you, the people I've attracted in have been on my frequency, and how inspiring, how exciting to have those people, by your side.
Like a whole 9 months. Like, if
Yeah.
you grow a baby in 9 months, what else can you transform your life in 9 months?
Woo! That's why she's the producer, guys. That's my producer, Becca.
Don't make me laugh.
You do look like a producer with your chair. She's got a chair right there. Guys, honestly, I have had the most amazing time just like getting in the flow with everything. And it's quite funny because when we talk about challenges and we talk about goal setting, we set our goals and our plans for the year at the beginning of the year, and then we kind of forget about it and we dwell on it for a little bit, and then we kind of whoop over our heads. It's always really good to like revisit everything. And actually, applying for the marathon, I did that in April, and I've only recently just found out in July that I'm running the marathon next year. So it's really shaped and changed my goal plans for the rest of 2023, but also 2024. Like I'm already thinking into next year. So, with our biggest challenges come our biggest rewards, and those wins and those lessons are going to be so transformative for you. So really it got me thinking, how can I apply this to today's episode? And, with that 9 months that we've got, let's bring it all together. Like, you're running the marathon with me in some way. You're running your own marathon. You've got a goal in mind. Maybe you're thinking about something that you want to achieve in the next 9 months. Let's do it together. Like, why aren't we working on this together? I'm going to be in that motivated, head down, focused, game on kind of mentality. Why don't we work together and think about what we can achieve in the next 9 months? Like, if we can make a baby in 9 months, what else can we make in 9 months? Like, we can do so much. We can transform, we can grow, we can post on social media, we can show up for ourselves, we can set goals that are truly going to benefit us. And do you know what's so wild and is a true perspective shift for me? Is as soon as I found out that I was running the marathon, I went onto social media, and I actually went onto Instagram first. And I just looked at the page where they announced and said, people are going to be receiving their emails today. Went on the comments. Oh my goodness gracious me. I felt kind of emotional about how many people were begging for a place, saying that they'd entered for the last 15 years and hadn't secured a spot. And I'm not trying to rub this in and be like, oh, I got it on the first go, but I entered it on the first go and I got a place. There is a reason for that. It's timing. It's divine timing. I have to show up, and it would be so silly of me to waste that opportunity when there are people who are begging and their biggest goal in life is to run the London Marathon. There are things that you are doing in your everyday that is someone's biggest dream. So just remember that for a second. And, what's so crazy to me is out of over 500,000 people that applied for the London Marathon, only 48,000 people got spots. So I'm one of that 48,000, and I have to show up. And because I know that everyone else knows what I'm doing, I'm going to show up 10 times harder. And I think sometimes when you share a goal, it is in a way a problem halved. It's a bit like, when you share a problem, it's a problem halved, because you have the opportunity to meet people who can help you, who can troubleshoot, who can, help you find someone. They might know someone who can help you. So we're going to get in this together. We're going to work through it, and we're going to, push ourselves out of our comfort zone, because I just think it can only be compared to like the nerves of a next chapter. And if we don't focus on that next chapter, we're going to stay really, really stagnant, and we're going to stay in this like feeling of like, oh, well, my life's not really moving forward. And I know Alice with the little pun there, like the moving forward and the walking and the running, etc. The feeling of the unknown is scary, yes, but staying stagnant, so much worse, so much worse. So next steps. I wrote these down on my little note cards. Do you like them, guys? I want you guys to truly believe in yourself, and I'm not saying this in like a patronizing, like, believe in yourself. No, you need to like actually do a little bit of work and like think about where those feelings of, oh, I'm not sure I could do that or achieve that or be that, where that comes from. And like, I'm not asking you to blame people either and be like, it came from my childhood and it was this, but it will come back to that. There'll be something that your brain or your subconscious remembers that is stopping you. Like whenever I run and I hit a wall, for some reason I think of the 100-meter sprint on sports day and someone being ill and me having to run the 100 meters, and it was the worst experience of my entire life. Dreadful, like utterly dreadful. Had a stitch in seconds, couldn't run. I'm pretty sure my legs ran inwards, a bit like Phoebe and Friends. Like it was that kind of situation, and my brain goes to that. And it's not about that. It's about rewiring it. So I'm going to do some journaling on that. I'm going to sit and think about, why I still think about that when I hit the brick wall. Another thing, the brick wall thing, just made me remember Run Fat Boy Run, which I need to watch because that's such a classic about hitting the brick wall but persevering. And I'm moving my hands, guys, because I'm so passionate. The next thing, again, kind of linked to what I'm saying, mindset work, because it's natural. You're going to have self-doubt creep in, and I know undoubtedly that as I get closer to April 2024, like when I hit the new year mark, I think I'm going to be feeling a new kind of level of anxiety, and that's fine. Like at the moment I'm kind of like, oh, I've got all the time in the world because I'm kind of starting ahead of the London Marathon schedule, which is the 16 weeks training. I know personally I need more than 16 weeks, which is why I'm starting it now. But when I get to New Year, that's the 16-week mark. So that's when shit's going to get real. So I'm going to have to be focusing. And naturally new things are going to come up. It's like a week before an exam, the day before an exam. The anxiety feels different, but it's not kind of working around that anxiety. It's like, okay, well, it's going to happen eventually, so I have to move past this feeling. And I have it when I'm driving sometimes to London, for example. I'll think, my old mentality would always be, oh my gosh, I'd worry the night before about driving. Now I just get in the car and I drive, and I have my little panic when I need to have my little panic, depending on how my journey goes. The minute you start panicking early on, the worse it's going to get. And actually you're going to create that cycle of just anxiety. You're going to have a panic attack in the car. You're going to go into the wrong lane. You're going to come off of that wrong junction. Like, it's so true for life. Like if you just go in, you jump in and you go, right, okay, next 100 meters, how am I resolving this? It's going to be much easier to overcome whatever you're going through. So just keep that in mind. Another thing, guys, please, optimism is not delusion. Optimism is not delusional. Being optimistic is a beautiful thing. Being realistic, yes, it has its moments and it has its perks, but optimism, it kind of cultivates a nicer experience for yourself. If you're somebody who thinks with the cup half empty, you're going to have a cup half empty existence, and it's not going to be great. Like some of the people that have said to me, oh, you could have a heart attack running. My heart's fine, Peter. Thank you for your concern. Like, I'm fine. I'm doing well. I've actually had my heart checked just to be sure. I had a little ECG last week, guys. I'm all good. But do you know what I mean? Like, why do you need to tell me that I might have a heart attack as the first response to me telling you my news? Like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh, okay. But yeah, optimism is not delusional. It's good. It's a good thing. Sprinkle it. Sprinkle that optimism. Be a little optimism fairy. Yeah, learn to accept a positive belief system. And again, and to finish, guys, I'm reading off my card because I'm going to read it word for word. The London Marathon mindset is all about jumping headfirst into the deep end, figuring out the plan and making the commitment to yourself to succeed. So I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much for listening. I feel like it was like a mini TED talk. Please let me know if you are running the London Marathon next year. We could meet up. We could go for runs or a coffee. We could talk about what gym gear we're liking and what gym gear we're not liking. Are you wearing a running vest? I'm wearing a running vest at the moment. So we could chat about that to the high heavens. But if you aren't interested in the London Marathon, you're just interested in the mindset, I hope this has been beneficial to you. Rate and review if you're listening on Spotify or however you consume your podcast. And if you found me by any other means, I'm interested to know where. Let's have a chat. DM me. Stay sweet, guys. Love you lots.